Okay. I'm recording again. And
all right, who are you?
So, I am Carolyn, and I read 28 books this year.
And I am Marlena, and I read 121 books this year.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be talking about all of those books that we read and what we liked and didn't like about them and ranking them on this lovely tier ranker.
Carolyn goes first.
Okay.
I'll start? Okay.
Yes.
First book I read this year was Fourth Wing, which is a very popular book.
And we read it together. We read it side by side, lying next to each other, turning the page at the same time, because we had one copy.
Yes,
and we got very close reading this book.
Yes.
And because I had very high expectations for this book, because it's like enemies to lovers, magic school, murder, and dragons. And I like all of those things.
Yes.
But I feel like it didn't focus enough on the plot that I as I would have wanted it to, and I don't know, it just did not quite meet my high expectations, it's just kind of like it had so much hype around it, and then I just didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I didn't really like the main character. I feel like I did not really relate to her very much.
Yeah, I don't know, war college.
And I feel like it is a little bit, it felt a little bit sort of like genre cliche in some ways.
Yeah, and disclaimer, I'm not very into romance novels. Like, I don't read a lot of romance.
Yeah, I think it was just very heavily
it's just not for me
in a genre that, is not my favorite genre. I did like the dragons. The dragons,
they put
were
up
my
with
favorite
a lot
characters.
with their telepathy, yes.
I did like
they did
the
put
dragons.
up with a lot. Yeah.
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay.
Anyways,
I would say...
excellent.
Great. I will say I would say C tier.
Okay.
For, I forget
have
what was
some
C tier?
funny moments.
You tried.
Yeah.
You tried.
It did have some entertaining parts.
It just kind of lost me at the end.
Yep.
Okay, next. One of Us is Lying. Okay, so One of Us is Lying is like high school murder, mystery, whatever. Like 14's in detention, whatever.
Kind of like Breakfast Club, but with murder.
I guess, a little bit.
I think that was what the tagline was, but yes.
Yeah, I did like the mystery element. I liked that, it was stuff that you could put together. I feel like I'm more of a fan of fantasy than realistic fiction, but I did like it. I would say B tier, personally. Next is Peter Pan. Peter Pan, I read because I was looking for, a good Peter Pan retelling, because I really like Peter Pan, and I kind of came up short for that, and so I was like, I'll just read the original, and I liked it. I feel like there are a lot of sort of dark retellings of Peter Pan where he's sort of a bad guy, and I feel like that's sort of what I was looking for, and I feel like I can now that I've read the original, I feel like I can kind of see that, because it's he's literally described as very cruel, but in a childlike way.
Yep.
Because children are cruel, that's sort of something that they say.
And everything else changes around him, and he's the one constant, and he doesn't remember anything or have real connections to anybody. Even Wendy, he eventually does forget about her, even though he keeps going back. Yeah,
I liked that, they basically confirmed that he, kept going back and getting the descendants of Wendy.
Yeah.
And, kind of not knowing the difference. Anyway, I would say A tier, just because it's kind of classic. I feel like I give older books a little bit more leeway. Okay, Nevermoor. Nevermoor, I really like Nevermoor. Thank you for introducing it to me.
I also love Nevermoor. I don't know if you're putting it in S tier, but I am
putting it in S tier. I really like Nevermoor. I honestly will just kind of move up the other Nevermoor books also to S tier, because they're all so good.
Yes. I read those last year. I didn't read those this year.
Yes.
I got the first one for you because I really liked it.
Yes, Marlena got me the first one, and then I read the other two from the library. It was also funny because I went to the junior, the young readers.
I always feel really weird when I'm in the junior library section. I'm always there's always small children there, and I'm not a small child.
Yes.
But anyways.
No, because basically for this book I had to go to the little kids section of the library. I went to the young reader section where they have Percy Jackson and the Hunger Games and stuff, and I couldn't find it, and I asked the librarian, and they were oh no, that's in the little kids section. But it's really good.
She's cursed to die on her 12th birthday, I believe, or 11th birthday. Anyways, so she gets taken to this other world and lives at this hotel, and she has to complete these trials to get into this magical school.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good. They're all good. They're all good.
I would recommend.
It keeps up the goodness. This is Snow Glass Apples is a graphic novel. We include graphic novels here. We also include audiobooks. I should disclose when I read some of these as audiobooks, because that is important and does affect the reading experience. So far, one of us is lying and Peter Pan were both audiobooks. Snow Glass Apples, like I said, it's a graphic novel, so obviously not an audiobook. This was just a dark Snow White retelling. It was very short. It's by Neil Gaiman, and I don't know. I would probably say B tier. It was short, so it was fine and it was interesting, but it wasn't that good. Next is Gilded and Cursed by Marissa Mayer, which are Rumpelstiltskin retellings of sorts.
Yes.
And I like Marissa Mayer. I like the Lunar Chronicles series, and these were also really good. They're not they're not really like Cinder, but they're similarly good.
Yeah, they're good fairy tale retellings. I also read these books not this year, but I did like the dead children that she had to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also liked that she got married to the guy, and I thought that was funny, especially since they didn't actually have any kind of romantic tension.
Yeah.
I thought that was nice. And then I liked her and the Rumpelstiltskin guy.
I like the characters and the ship. I would say I would put these in A tier. I think that they were good, solid. I like them a lot. Next
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yes, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This I listened to as an audiobook, and I do think that affected my reading experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't like it as much as people say. I believe that it's really good, but I personally did not feel invested in it because of my listening experience. I would say B. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which is about...
I also read this, and
immortal...
I loved it.
Yes, I also loved it. Spoiler alert. It's about a woman who makes a deal with a devil of sorts where she is immortal, but she is forgotten by everyone she meets as soon as she, basically leaves their line of sight. And it was very good. I feel the first half of the book was, A tier, but then, I really liked the second half of the book, and the relationship with the devil guy, with the demon guy, and so I would put it in S tier. It was very good. Girl Serpent Thorn is a Persian sapphic Sleeping Beauty retelling. It was good. I feel I don't have very strong opinions about it. I was also an audiobook. I liked it. I would either go at the top of B or bottom of A with what I have currently. I feel if I'm being nice, I'll put it in A. But I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people. Daughter of the Pirate King. I feel the girl was a little bit too much sassy protagonist girl for me.
Yeah.
But I did like it. I would say probably B. And Enchanted is another one where it's
I liked that one.
I know you like it.
I'm sorry. I enjoyed it greatly.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it later.
Enchanted. I do think it is one where it's my friends really like it, and so I wish I'd liked it a little bit more. I did really like it, but I feel I just wasn't really drawn into it. I wasn't I want to keep reading really as I was reading it. But it's short and it's cute, and I would put it in B.
Yes, it's about a girl
at the top of
who's
B.
cursed with obedience. So she has to do everything everyone says.
It's Cinderella inspired. It's very fairy tale. Actually, I should count up how many of these books are fairy tale retellings.
Yes,
it's probably quite a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Curious Tides did not finish. I did not finish Curious Tides. I read about 300 out of 500 pages.
Oh wow. That's denied.
It was an investment.
Fallacy.
No, I did because I was this is boring. I do not care what happens to these characters, and I stopped. It would go in C or D if I was rating it based on what I had read, and yeah, I just was kind of boring, and it was kind of genre heavy.
Spinning Silver is another fairy tale retelling, I think, or fairy tale.
It is. It is a fairy tale retelling. Another Rumpelstiltskin fairy tale retelling. That's probably my most retold fairy tale this year.
I liked this one.
I did like this one. It was by Naomi Novik.
Of course.
Of A Deadly Education, which is amazing.
Yes. I read so much Naomi Novik this year, and I liked all of it. I don't know if you have thoughts on this one, but it's basically two different girls who are thrust into these kind of arranged
It's three different
relationships.
girls.
Yeah, there is another girl, but I think it focuses mostly on, there's one who's, like, married off to this Frost King.
Yes.
Who, like, because she keeps making deals, like, to get him gold, and then eventually he takes her to his kingdom because she has made him so much gold, and so he has to because of, like, fairy laws, and then she has to, like, escape. And then there's this other girl who has to marry this guy who's possessed by a fire lord, or fire demon, and then they both, like, don't want to be in those relationships, but then they both end up being kind of in those relationships.
I liked all the intersecting storylines, and
it was well written. I love good fairy tale retelling.
This one was also an audiobook.
Yes, I did not have an audiobook.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But it goes an A. I would say it was very good. Next is Once Upon a Broken Heart. Not a fairy tale retelling, but like fairy tale inspired. This one is another one where I just it kind of like it's like romantasy, and it's just not really. It did not
capture you.
It did not capture me. No. It is funny though. Like in all these like romance books that are like kind of cliche, like the descriptions of the characters. Like in Fourth Wing, where she's like, I have like silver ombre hair and like blue amber hazel eyes, and then this one it was like I have like rose gold hair, where it's like pink and gold. Like I have like streaks of pink and gold in my hair, and it's like, yeah. Anyway, this goes in C.
Okay. Yes.
It was worse than Fourth Wing.
Really?
Yes, it was.
I didn't really like Caravel. It was okay.
Yeah, I also did not really like Caravel. I did read it, and it was fine. Yeah, but not my favorite.
Yeah.
I did not know it was the same person that by Caravel when I borrowed it from the library. Yeah. That was not part of my thinking. A Wizard of Earthsea, also did not draw me in. I did not like this book as much as I thought I would. I did like the diverse cast. Like, I liked that it was, like, basically all, like, people of color. Like,
that is good.
Even though, like, which is uncommon, especially probably for, like, children's books from the 1960s. Especially also just, like, in fantasy in general.
And written by,
like,
assumedly a white woman.
Yes, like, in fantasy children's books from the 1960s. I was very pleasant surprised to have so many people of color. But still, alas, it goes in B. Also an audiobook, just saying. Okay, now we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopaedia of Faeries, which was very, very pleasant.
Yes. I also read this one this year, and Map of the Otherlands, and I like them both very much. They're about this woman who's like a professor who goes exploring to, like, she's compiling an encyclopedia of all fairies, and it's like our world except fairies exist. And she has this, like, other professor who doesn't really do any work in her department. Just everyone loves him. And I just also liked her art with the townspeople.
Yeah, I liked Wendell.
I liked Wendell too.
That's all I wanted to say.
I liked Wendell a lot.
I do think
Emily.
It's written in like diary entries, which I feel like it was sort of unrealistic.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes he would just write his diary entry.
Yes. You know, it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, not that this happened in the book, but it's like, I'm dying in a hole now. Just wanted to write it down in my diary. Like,
yeah.
I'm like, I feel like you would not be writing all this down in the diary. Also, obviously, like, with dialogue tags. Like,
yeah.
I was on a streak of bad romantasy books, so I am glad this made me happy. This made me happy because I was like, wow, it's not that I don't like romance fantasy books, which I was starting to think. It's just that those ones were bad. Like, not my cup of tea. So, anyway, long story short, this goes in S. It was very good. This one also held up very good. Next is Lungs, which is a play. Plays count on this list as well.
Which we read out loud together.
We did. It was a 2-person play.
Yep.
This was a 2-person play that we cold read out loud, playing the two characters.
Because we were bored.
Which was quite an experience.
Yeah. It was about this couple.
I don't think we need to say what it's about. It was bad.
No. It's okay. Quickly, it's
fine.
about this couple who wanted to have children, but then they were arguing because they thought it would be bad for the planet. And that's most of the play.
Yeah, it's like these people's lives from about this couple.
The very end of the play is them like breaking up and then getting back together like years later, very rushed. Yeah. I think if I had seen it in person, I would have liked it better. But, because it was just us reading it. Also, they said the F slur to mean cigarettes, which surprised me because I'm not British, and so that was
I had to inform Marlena what they meant.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck are they saying? Anyways, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. What the heck are they saying? We can cut that there. Okay.
I also forgot that I'm not really describing what these are about.
That's fine.
Like Wizard of Earthsea, Daughter of the Pirate King. Most of these I did not describe what they're about.
Yeah.
That's okay. One Dark Window. One Dark Window is another fantasy. It's sort of romantasy, but the romance was not the center point, which I think is what made it. I liked it better compared to a lot of the other fantasy books I read this year.
I should try that again. I did start that one. Oh, I didn't put that on my DNF list, but I did.
That's okay.
Anyways, just for everyone to know, I did try that one, and then I moved like around the time that I was reading that, and I returned it to the library before I finished it.
No, that is fair. A lot of these books, like, I didn't finish them partially, not completely, partially because, like, I just had to return them to the library, and, like, I didn't care enough to continue.
Yeah.
But yes, so this one, I like the magic system. It's like, okay, I won't explain the magic system. I like the magic system.
Tarot cards.
Yeah, it's like cards. It's like there's a certain number of each type of card, and the cards give people, each type of card gives some people a specific power. And I liked, it's about like this, and the girl has like this demon in her head, and it's like ever since she was a kid at one point, like at some point in her childhood, she just like got this demon in her head. And I'm very glad that it's not a sexy demon. I'm very glad it's not a sexy demon. It's like an old man demon. An old growly monster man demon. And I appreciated that. And that's all I have to say about that. I would say, I don't know if it's B or A. I guess B, but like I'll put it at the top of B. I did like it, but it was not like so good. Oops. Okay, now we have Powerless.
Powerless. We
Powerless.
both read.
We have so much to say about Powerless. I had so much to say about this as I was reading it.
Yeah, I feel like
this book was very, very cliche.
Yes.
As I have said, it is like somebody tried to write the Hunger Games and accidentally wrote The Selection.
Yep, that is what happened.
It like is weirdly similar to The Selection, but like I like The Selection.
Yes,
and
I also like
this.
the Hunger Games.
Yes.
And I don't know, it was just like, yeah, it just kind of was just like a very generic fantasy novel. Like, it's almost impressive how much of a generic fantasy novel it was.
Yeah, like not fantasy novel, but like YA.
Yeah, YA fantasy novel.
Yes.
Like
it was
like
almost nostalgic. How it was cliche YA novel.
I was actually enjoying it for the beginning. Okay, here's my problem. I think if this book had been 250 pages, I would have rated it higher. But the issue is the mortal sin is being a bad book and then being a long bad book. Because the thing is, if it's like 400 or 500 pages of bad book, that's gonna have a lower rating for me, just because I invested so much time in this bad book.
I agree. And I think in that way it had the same problem as Fourth Wing.
Yes.
Where, like, I honestly was not hating it so much. And not that I hated it, but, like, I honestly, like, was enjoying it. Like, at least, like, you know, having a fun time laughing at it until, like, the last, like, 50 pages. And then it just got boring, and I was like, I do not care.
Yes.
I do not care about the political whatever of this book. So, I don't know.
There was not very much political in this particular book. Also, the people who could, like, had the power to see things that were, like, a substitute because they had no TVs in this world. So they had these people running around the arenas that had the power, like, X-Men, because it was all X-Men powers, and so their ability was seeing things and then, like, reprojecting it, so they were just, like, TVs. And I felt like that was, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that other than that was what they did.
I also, like, the amount of times that they said, like, they described, like, her eyes, it was all, like, I remember she has blue eyes because they're always like her eyes. They're so blue.
I
blue,
did
blue,
like
blue,
her
blue,
name,
blue.
though. It was like
Payden. Yes.
Payden.
What was the guy's name? He had a forgettable name. Was it like Dan?
No, it wasn't Dan. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Kai.
Okay. Kai.
One of the two.
It's Kai.
Okay.
Okay.
Kai.
Not Dan.
No.
Anyway, I don't know what to put this in C or B. It's probably the worst of the C's, but I'll give it C.
Okay. Yeah. I agree with you for whenever I do my ranking.
Harry Potter. I read Harry Potter. It was good.
Yes.
I don't have very much to say about that.
I think for the first one, the movie is actually better. Is my hot take.
I think also it was also like I wonder what it. I as I was reading it, I was like, I wonder what the experience of reading this would be like if I had never like watched the movies, because I've seen all the movies and I'd only read the first book before.
Yeah.
But like just reading the book, having seen all the movies, and like being very familiar with the plot and like remembering everything that happens, like I was like, I wonder what it was like not knowing what would happen.
I liked all of the other Harry Potter books better than the first one. The first one was like good, but it wasn't like as good as the other ones.
Yeah,
so.
I would give it A. I mean, it's a classic. It was good.
I don't know. Classics can be bad.
No, that's true. But like,
they can be written by,
I'm a fan of
racist.
No, okay, not that type of classic. Not that type of classic.
I'm just saying it does have that fitting, written by someone with outdated.
Oh yes,
views.
yes, of course.
Anyways,
Sweet Nightmare, I did not finish. This was an audiobook. It got returned to the library. I liked that it was.
I don't know what this one is about.
Okay, sorry. This one is about. It was just about like, it's like urban fantasy. Like it's like a magic school, but it's like not in a. It's not really fantasy world, but it's like a bunch of magical creature kids. It's like Monster High.
Okay.
A bunch of magical creature kids go to high school together.
I actually would like to read a Monster High book.
Yeah, I honestly...
But again, it's like just execution.
I did not mind this one as much as some of the others because it felt like a little less like pretentious.
Yeah.
Like, if that makes sense. Where it kind of like... It had like Percy Jackson style titles where they were like puns. Yeah. And so I was like, I appreciate kind of like the kidness of this one. Even though it wasn't like for kids, it was like still YA.
Yeah.
But just like... So I did like, it was a little more like lighthearted, it felt, than kind of like, it wasn't trying to be super like angsty.
Yeah.
Like, but it was not very good, so I stopped. Okay, A Study in Drowning is next.
Yep.
I really liked A Study in Drowning, actually. I think you said you did not like it as much, right?
I liked it also. I feel like the ending, the ending was just like, okay, the moment that they found the clue under the bed, like, it was like,
yes,
there was like some random piece of paper that was just sitting under the spare guest bedroom bed, and it was like the secret clue they needed. I was just like, what? Like, clearly they just needed to find this clue, but it was such a stupid spot. I think the atmosphere was very good, and, like, I really liked the dark academia vibes, and I liked the ship. I don't know, she was also, like, kind of racist towards the guy. Like, I don't know, or she was, like, very, like, she made fun of his accent or something. Like, she was very, like, I don't know. But I did like them overall. I did like, the atmosphere. Anyway, sorry, this is your review. But...
No, I agree. I think I really like the atmosphere.
There were just a couple things that bugged me.
Oh, also just this book is about, I don't know. It's about, like, this architect student who goes to, like, redesign the house of her favorite author who's recently deceased, and like she kind of like uncovers a mystery there, but it's like fantasy. It is fantasy.
Yes.
But yeah, it was like in a fantasy world, and I did really like the atmosphere, which we've said. But honestly, that is kind of the best part of the book.
The writing was good.
And yeah, I liked it. I would give it A. I think this one also I listened to as an audiobook, but I listened to it on a flight, so I got to listen to it like mostly uninterrupted. So it was nice. Not like 10 minutes like segments, like walking between places.
Yes.
A Strange and Stubborn Endurance, I did not finish. It was just kind of boring. It's like a fantasy novel. It's like very, it's like a, you know how people sometimes describe books as like healing, where it's like, I feel like it's like that, like the author was going for that, where it's very like, the people are very nice and very like, they always do the right thing and like say the right thing. Like they work through their trauma in healthy ways. Like it's like but it was kind of boring. Like good for them. I feel like I also read like 300 out of 500 pages of this, and then I kind of just stopped.
Man, when I read 300 pages out of something, I just finish it.
Sweet Nightmare only read like 100 pages.
Okay,
but it was also a little shorter.
Yeah.
Anyway, Circe, retelling of like the Odyssey. Circe's part of the Odyssey.
Like most of the books that we both read, I liked this book.
Yes,
because I feel like that's why it gets recommended.
Yes.
To one of us.
Yes, and Circe, I liked Circe. I like mythology, like Greek mythology in general.
Yes.
And I don't know. I would say A. And This Is How You Lose a Time War. I also listened to it as an audiobook. And I think in this instance, that was to the detriment of the book.
Yeah.
I was a little confused and not super engrossed in the book.
Well, I hope it's good not in audiobook format, because I gave it to someone for Christmas, so...
I think they'll enjoy it, but, yeah, it was not, even without that, it was, like, not, like, my favorite. It was, like...
I mean, it's sapphic time agent enemies to lovers, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's also, like, kind of, like, poetic, and, like, not to be unpoetic, but I don't really like poetic things very much, but also, it's fine. Okay. B tier. There you go. Harry Potter, this one, I agree, I like the second one better than the first one. They're both A tier, though. Where's A tier? Here's A tier. It can go next to the other Harry Potter. This is the Chamber of Secrets. Mm-hmm. And then Heartless Hunter, the last book I read this year, which I finished. This one and Chamber of Secrets I both finished on December 31st, so I could count it as reading it for this year. Heartless Hunter, I liked surprisingly much. I liked it. Yeah, I was surprised how much I liked it. This is another romance fantasy, but not really, like, romantasy.
Yes.
Not like, you know, it's not like the Fae type, like the Fae type romantasy. It's not that. It's about, like, witches, and so it's like a witch and a witch hunter. And I would give it A. I really liked it, especially, like, the middle. I actually, like, drawn in by, like, the stakes. I, like, wanted to know what happened. And I think even the ending, I feel like... Yes. I was, like... I was drawn in. I was captivated.
I agree.
So that is my list.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
All right.
We're done with that.
All right. Buckle up.
Yes.
If that took 40 minutes, this is going to take 6 times as long.
Great.
Okay. I will be faster. Okay.
Okay, but also describe what the book is about briefly.
Okay.
Because that is what I did not do.
Excellent. All right. So the first book that I read this year was The False Prince.
I like The False Prince.
Yes, which I first read, like, a while ago, like, middle school. It's about, like, these boys who are all competing to be the prince of the country who everyone doesn't know is dead. It's kind of like an Anastasia situation. And the secret twist, spoiler alert, is that the main character is the actual prince. And I remember being like, what? when I read this the first time in whatever grade. And yes. I did like this book on reread. I think it was a solid book. I don't know if it's really B or A. I
would give it an A, but I also read it. I actually think I did read this last year. Like 2023, I think I read this. And I also read it in middle school or elementary school as well. But I like it.
I did like it. Fourth Wing, we talked about. It's enemies to lovers,
dragon
magic,
riding, military
dragon
school,
which all good things. I had very high expectations for it, and that is why, unfortunately, it has to go in D, is because I was betrayed.
But we did have a fun time
a feeling of
reading this
there.
at the same time and just laughing about it, and, like, whenever there was something funny that happened.
It was kind of like Sailor Moon, where it's, like, just fun to read with somebody else. The next book I read was 23 Minutes. This is a book that I have read almost, like, every single year. I read it once a year since, for the last, 5 years or 6 years.
Wow.
I don't know why.
It's not that good.
It's not that good. I don't know why.
It's just short.
It's just short. And it's, like, every time I read it, I'm like, I'm not going to read this in one sitting. And then I do. I read it. I just sit down and read it for 4 hours. Anyways, it's about a time loop. There's a girl who can play back time, the 23 minutes of time, 10 times, and she has to stop a bank robbery. And she meets, I don't know, I just love time loop stories. And it's the people that you meet, and you get to see different sides of them in every loop. And I just enjoy it. It's an S tier for me. It's also very
classic.
short. Uprooted, which is a kind of fairy tale-esque.
It's another Naomi Novik.
Yes, it's Naomi Novik. It's about a girl who gets taken to live in a sorcerer's tower, and everyone thinks that he does, like, malicious things, but he really just wants them to, like, bring him tea and, like, make him dinner because he's very busy. But also secretly he wants to sap their love of the land, I think.
What?
Did you finish this book?
No, I read... Actually, this could go on my did not finish, but I only read, like, the first chapter, so I stopped, so I did not count it.
No. Well, the secret is that Uprooted is because all the girls he takes have, like, strong roots to the valley, and that, like, is important for his magic. Okay. I don't know. They had a romance. He's, like, really old, so it's kind of one of those... He's like a vampire.
Oh, okay.
Where he's, like... old.
I thought you meant, like, old man old.
No, I mean, yes, but, like,
that's
the
old.
Version of
the
that.
fantasy version.
Where he's, like, 200, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I read the first chapter, and I was like, they were like, the evil dragon. You know that hot guy who lives in the woods, and he, like, educates the women and sends them to college with money when she's done with them?
No, he actually does have flaws and problems.
Okay.
Because
at first I was like this guy is clearly not evil.
No, he is evil a little bit, actually.
That's good. That's a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Yeah. But he is, I mean, you do kind of root for them. I did like the couple. I think also, I don't know, I kind of forget the ending. But anyways, I did like this book. It's also kind of, I don't know if it's a B or an A. I guess I'll give it an A with False Prince. This is going to stray a little bit from my Goodreads ratings, I think.
That's okay.
I think...
it only roughly corresponds to stars.
Yeah. Hour of the Olympics. I liked the Magic Treehouse series a lot when I was younger, and this one was about them going back to the Olympics. Unfortunately, it did not meet my expectations. It was... I think I'm not a child anymore, and
yes.
You kind of need to be to enjoy these
Those are
books
quite young reader books.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if I had read it in Spanish, like I read other books in Spanish, I would have liked it. Because then it's like you have to struggle a little bit to understand it, but it was just like, yeah. Anyways, not much to say about that. There was sexism in ancient Greece. They went back to ancient Greece. Naomi Novik Spinning Silver, this is kind of the pair for Uprooted,
we kind of
which Carolyn also read. Yeah. And, yeah, I liked it. I liked the two different, like, there was, like, the Queen with the Ice Demon and the Queen with the Fire Demon.
Yes, plus the Evergirl, the assistant girl.
Yes, I like that one better than Uprooted. Although I felt like, the ending, I don't know, I felt like, I forget, honestly. I don't even remember what I felt like was off about the ending. Maybe I'm just hallucinating.
I think I like the ending. I don't really remember either, though, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, A Deadly Education is going in S tier. Yes. All three of them.
Unfortunately, these were the last books I read in 2023, so they did not make the 2024 list, but they were very, very good.
I love these books.
I loved the main characters and the relationship and the plot and everything.
Yes, I'm just a sucker for magic school books and enemies to lovers, and they're dynamic.
Yes.
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 But it's about, like, a very dark, kind of like Harry Potter, but, like, where there's no teachers and there's, like, just monsters trying to kill everybody.
Yeah, and the main character is, like, this girl who, like, has basically just, like, dark, evil death powers.
Yes.
I do really like how they sort of flipped the roles of the characters and, like, what you expected.
Yes. The Atlas 6 was about 6 people who go to a place where they're, like, supposed to, like... I honestly forget. It's like they're supposed to, like, get initiated, and they get all of the knowledge in the world, and they all have, like, different abilities. So, like, one of them is very good with plants, one of them is, like, very convincing, persuasive, and, like, they all have different kind of abilities and relationships with each other, and I feel like there's also, like, there's a very complicated interromantic web of relationships here. I feel like I didn't continue this series. It's either a C or a B. I think I would put it here. I don't know. It just was
I have not read that one, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll move it up to B later. But yeah, it was just not for me. Twilight, I reread this year because I was reading Midnight Sun, and Midnight Sun was, like, twice as long.
Why?
Edward likes to yap.
Okay.
He likes to think. He thinks, like, twice as much as she does.
That's actually funny that he thinks twice as much as she does.
I know, it's just...
So it's twice as long.
Yeah, he just kind of, like, agonizes over everything. Although, I feel like I do, like, I don't know, I think people just kind of, like, meme on Twilight. And
no, it's good.
He is...
I mean, I haven't read it since... Yeah, elementary school, so I can't really remember, but I did genuinely like it in elementary school.
He was, like, an interesting-ish character. He was kind of creepy, but, you know, he was trying his best, so, I don't know. I would say those are B tier. Okay. I like Twilight better still, but, yeah. It was also, I also love Alice.
Yes, I like Alice, too.
I don't know why. Jasper was a Civil War soldier, which is kind of bad, but, okay. The Poppy War, I did not finish. This was another kind of, like, dark war school, and I really wanted to like it because I like that, but I feel like I don't know, I had some issues with it. Okay, also, one thing is that she kicks him in the nuts, and it's celebrated as, like, a feminist thing, and I really strongly dislike that. I don't like it when guys get kicked in the nuts, and it's seen as, like, unless the guy is, like, doing sexual assault or something, and then I can see it and vibe with it. But if the guy is just, like, there, and then you just, like, I don't know. That just bothers me.
Do you want this in the video?
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just a trope I dislike. It feels kind of like sexual assaulty.
No, that's
a little
fair.
bit. If the guy wasn't doing anything, it was just kind of being a jerk, but like not in a sexual assaulty way. And then you go and bring that nuts into it. I feel like that's just... Anyways, minor thing that bothered me.
I accidentally stabbed a guy in the nuts with a fencing sword.
Jesus.
Not, like, badly.
Okay.
That's gonna get out.
Alright, are you sure? It's fine. Okay, Cruel Prince. I liked... Okay, this is about, a world, like a fairy world that's, like people from our world who end up going to fairy world, because their mother tried to run away, and so they get adopted by a fairy, and they have to adapt in that world, and they're the only humans there, and so everyone else, they have to be very careful. There's a lot of rules about, like, what you can eat.
Yeah,
and,
it's, like, dangerous for them.
Yeah, and I liked a lot of the
this.
world-building details. I actually really liked the main character, like, the relationship between, like, the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there were some parts that I just didn't like as much, like some scenes, but I got into it like at the end, where I feel like when like the like stuff happens at the end that I got into.
Yeah, I also
this is the sequel.
Liked it decently.
Yes. I don't know where these go.
That seems fair.
Yeah.
Either way.
It's kind of like similar to Uprooted and Spinning Silver and The False Prince. Like these
You can
are all
add them
kind of
then.
like in the same vein.
You could add them up then if you want.
Hawthorne Legacy, I was just very disappointed because I liked the first one a lot, and then I felt like this was, I don't know, it was just like, it felt like it was sort of like doing the thing that the later Sailor Moon seasons does, where it like pinned down, like each character got like very kind
Nemesis?
No. Like they each became one personality trait. Like in the earlier seasons, like Ami had like more character, but then later she was just defined as like being like the smart studious one.
Definitely.
And I felt like it did that a little bit with all of the boys.
Yeah, it would be more fun if they all got Nemesis.
That would have been more fun. And then there was also like a bunch of secret stuff at the end that was just like, you know how sometimes they pull plot twists and you're just like, oh my god. Okay, Anne of Green Gables I love because I read it in childhood and loved it.
Yes, I like Anne of Green
It's
Gables.
about an orphan who gets adopted by a family, and they kind of accidentally adopt her, and then she makes friends, and she's very whimsical and imaginative.
It's like historical fiction of like this young girl who's like very imaginative and
she
kind of just like her struggles at school and like with her friends and everything.
She always messes things up, but she always finds a way to fix it.
Yeah.
And then there's also Gilbert Blythe, who I love.
I like
with my
I don't think
heart.
I've actually ever read the books, but I did.
I think we listened to it.
Maybe when I was like very young, but I mostly know it from like Anne with an E, but still good. I like.
Yeah, this one I think
The second Anne of
was
Green
good.
Gables.
The second Anne of Green Gables was good. It was like it was too much time spent on them forming an HSA. Or sorry, not
What's
HSA.
an HSA?
HOA, a homeowners association, and they were just like forming a club. And there was also a parrot man. I don't know. It wasn't as good as the other one.
Repairman?
Parrot man. A man with a parrot.
That does not make more sense, but
No.
okay.
Anyways, I'll just rank the other Anne of Green Gables one. This one, excellent. They go to college. There's her love triangle. This one is about her teaching at a school. It was published like after the fact, and I think I'm going to put it here.
Let's see.
Yeah, I liked her letters to Gilbert and pretty much nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
This one I think will go here.
The third book. Don't
third
just say
book.
this one. People might be listening.
Sorry. The Queen of Nothing, which is the third book in the Wicked King series. Or sorry, Cruel Prince series. And...
It's a good name.
Yes. I don't know. It was... I don't know. It's hard to wrap up a trilogy sometimes, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's hard to please everybody with the ending. I don't know. I don't want to spoil things because it's like a third book in the series.
Yeah.
This one, I feel like also...
Don't say this one.
Okay, Anne's House of Dreams, the last Anne of Green Gables book, is about, I don't know, I'll probably put it in B. But it was basically her getting at her first house and getting married. But I do like how it follows, like the series follows her as she goes up and has kids.
Yeah, I feel like that is a little
unique.
Yeah.
Okay, One of Us is back.
One of Us is Lying sequel, right?
This is the...
Is it different characters?
I think this is the third one.
Oh, okay. Wait, the second one is One of Us is next, right?
Yes. So this is
I
the
never
third,
read that, but
it's like a murder mystery book with a bunch of kids in a town, and I feel like I really liked the first one. And I did like how they brought all the characters back for the sequels, and I really like the one ship between, like, the brainiac girl and the guy who's, like, the
bad boy.
The bad boy. But I feel like there wasn't enough of them for me to be satisfied, and also I feel like the mysteries kind of... It's hard to do multiple mysteries in a town where, like, the first one makes sense, and then you have to kind of come up with other reasons for the same people to have to solve, like, mysteries. I don't know, maybe I'll put it, like, top of C.
Yeah, why do these kids keep having to solve these horrific murder mysteries in this small town?
Yes, exactly. Educated, 5 stars, really liked it. It's a memoir about a girl who grew up Mormon, and her family is kind of just, like, off the wall. Her father in particular, like, everyone in, like, there was like 17 different near-death experiences in this book. Like, her family had no regard for safety. Like, they were driving during storms and hitting telephone poles and, like, getting burned.
It sounds kind of like
getting hit in the head with metal things and falling off their motorcycles and, like, yeah, just not using modern medicine.
The Glass Castle.
Yes, no, it was like that. But she, I don't know, she was a very good writer, and her childhood was very interesting. This one,
Don't say this one.
Okay. Within These Wicked Walls. So Within These Wicked Walls, I started, it was like a retelling of, like, an Jane Austen book, I think. I don't know.
Austen book?
I think it was Persuasion. I don't know. It's the one where there's, like, someone in the attic, which I've never read, and I feel like I've just never been able to get into any retellings of that book, unfortunately. Maybe because I haven't read the original. 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I think I did like this one. It's about someone who's trying to solve a murder by kind of hopping between bodies. And the ending was just kind of off the walls. We're doing so good. It's only been 19 minutes, and I've gotten through
so good.
So many books. Okay, and then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This one, I will admit that I love the TV series and probably am a little clouded by that, but I just really like it's just a mystery about, like, I think it's 10 people on an island and they die one by one, and it's just a very good murder mystery.
Yeah, it's classic.
I don't know, I'll probably put it here, but it's very good. The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. If you don't know this one, somehow it's about 2 kids who have cancer who are falling in love, and the subplot, which I had never read this before and I didn't know anything about this, but they really like this book by this reclusive author, and they have to travel to see him, and he's kind of a jerk, and then they kiss in the Anne Frank Museum.
Great.
And yeah, anyways,
I've
it was
never
just
read it.
It was very funny and very, like, it does hit you in the feels. I don't know. I would probably say maybe A. It'll go here.
Okay.
Howl's Moving Castle, which I really liked. I read this after watching the movie. This is just a very whimsical, fantastical girl gets turned into an old woman, and then
Tale as old as time.
Yes, and then moves into a moving castle with a pretty Welsh boy who is a magician.
Classic.
And a young boy and a fire demon.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed it greatly.
Yeah.
So I'll put it here. The Paris Apartment, I was on vacation and this was the only book available to me, and I started reading it, and as soon as I was not on vacation, I stopped reading it. Nothing against it, but it's like historical fiction, and I just wasn't interested in that. Boxcar Children.
Oh, I remember reading that in elementary school.
Yes. This was a reread. I enjoy it when children have, like, a limited selection of things, when they have, like teacups and their food, like, they have a little basket of, like, whenever someone has a backpack of, like, things.
Yes.
I enjoy that.
It's like books you can, like, play pretend and recreate.
Yeah. And so they had, like, they just had to accumulate things and just build their own little life in the woods. And then it has a very nice wrap-up ending. So I would give this one an A. Book of 1,000 Days is about, I really liked this one when I was a kid, and rereading it, I think it did have some problems, but I did still like it. It's about a girl who's in a tower with her, like, she's a servant and she's in the tower with, like, the lady she's serving, but the lady just, like, has severe depression and just, like, has, like, just she's just not able to do anything, and so she has to take care of her, and she has to talk to her love interest for her, because the lady doesn't want to do it, and then, you know, you can kind of guess, maybe, what happens there. But I did like it. I feel like I say that a lot. I should say different things. Maybe here.
That's okay.
I don't know.
I've never read that one, so I don't know.
Yeah. The Goblin Emperor, this one was a lot of politics. It's about a guy who has to assume the throne suddenly, and then he just has to do all of the political things associated with assuming the throne, and that's pretty much it. But
is he a goblin?
Well written. He is half goblin, and that is part of the drama.
Okay.
Is that he shouldn't, they don't like that he's half goblin.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry, are you getting bored?
No.
I'll go faster.
No, it's fine.
I'll put that one here in B.
B.
Yes. Ella Enchanted. I liked this one. It's like a Cinderella retelling, but where she is cursed to be obedient. And I just really liked her letters with the guy where, my favorite part was when they were writing letters and she was like, I can't marry you, and she was giving all these stupid reasons why she couldn't marry him. And I just enjoyed that they were childhood friends, and I also liked the boarding school and the magic system.
Yeah, no, I did really like it.
I just liked it. It satisfied me.
I'm happy with it, and I had nothing, no grievances against it. I have.
Yes. Faeries is a sequel, and it's like a Snow White retelling, and
It's a sequel?
Or sorry, it's like in the same universe.
As what?
As Ella Enchanted.
Oh, okay.
And, I did like this one, but not quite as much. It wasn't quite, as tightly done.
Weird. I remember reading Faeries, but I never read Ella Enchanted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I did like, she learned some good lessons about her self-worth. Tempest and Slaughter, I did not finish. I got it from the library and then I didn't finish it. This Woven Kingdom, this one, I think, I'll put it here.
In B.
In B. It was basically about a girl who was like a runaway queen. It was like a very kind of stereotypical kind of start, but it was just well written and well done. And I liked how the love interest was kind of like kind of not good. Like he was just, because I think he's not really the series love interest. Like the next book's love interest was probably going to be the real one.
Yeah.
Because I liked how it was like a very kind of flawed relationship. Yeah, did a good job with that. Okay, The Hunger Games.
The whole series.
I'm not going to explain this. I'm just going to put this in S tier.
But what if they don't know what The Hunger Games is about?
They should look it up.
Okay. I agree with S tier. It's very good.
I reread it. I reread the whole thing. I will say I liked Mockingbird better this time, Mockingjay better, because I think, I don't know. I think originally it's like a very war-heavy book, and so I didn't like that as much, but I think they did a good job. I also, personal theory, I think that that really did, I don't know if it's this book specifically, but I think a lot of why, like, books, and particularly, honestly, maybe this series, for me, in particular, affected how I see, like, war, and, like actual political opinions that I held, I think have been, like, shaped by this, and, like, yeah, anyways, I really appreciate
they have
this
good,
series.
they have good, like, messages and themes about that type of stuff.
Yes. Okay, Song of Achilles, just beautifully written retelling of Achilles.
Did you like that or Circe better?
I think, honestly, Circe.
I also liked Circe better.
Olivia said Song of Achilles, but I...
Just because it's gay doesn't mean it's better.
Yeah, I liked I like Circe better, but I still would put Song of Achilles in A tier. The next one I read was The House on the Cerulean Sea, which is a book about a guy who is he works like a very boring desk job, and he's supposed to go investigate these magical children who are being taken care of on this island, and whether their caretaker is doing a good job. And then
they bond.
They bond. He gets won over by these magical children.
Yes. It's very cute.
And it's very cute.
What would you
sweet.
rank it?
Either an A or a B. I feel like, I don't know, probably high B, because it was very sweet, but it I don't know. There's nothing really against it. It was just not, like, quite, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine. I would say A, but we can have a difference of opinions.
All right, Study and Drowning is, we talked about this one, but this is, like, a very well-written, atmospheric book about a girl who's going down to the coast to do research on this Fae King, and there's this other guy there who she isn't very nice to, but they do have, like, kind of a good relationship, and then they do a bunch of treasure hunting. Some of the clues are found very stupidly, But other than that, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
Troubled Girls of Dragomir Academy. I don't know. This one, I feel like I didn't love, unfortunately. It's like about, I don't know. It was good. It was like girls go off to like a magic, or like a reform school. Not a magic school, but there is like magic involved a little bit. But they're all like troubled girls. And so it's like there's boys who are magicians who are good, and then there's girls who are like who are bad. And it was just sort of like,
Interesting.
yeah, it was like just very clear. Like it was supposed to be a twist that like the girls had magic, and that was like, I don't know. It was like there was a lot of things that were, I think, supposed to be twists that weren't really twists. And it was like, I think again it was just like a little too young for me maybe. I don't know, but it was like, I don't know. There was nothing really wrong with it. Yeah. Divine Rivals. I feel like this one was about a pair of journalists who were like enemies to lovers, and they had this secret typewriter which can send notes back and forth, and then they had to go to the war. And I think I liked it more before they went to the war, but the war, like, it was very funny how, like, I don't know if you read this, but like the backdrop, so like there's like these gods who are fighting, and it's like this huge like god war that's going on in the background of these two falling in love, and it's like not really acknowledged or explained at all, and the war is just there as like a backdrop for them. And I don't know,
it's like the war.
It's like the war,
the rebels.
Yeah. Well, not like quite to that extent, but it was just very like, and then the gods like come in at the end and are important, and it's just like, I don't know. I did like some aspects of it. I did like some of the side characters and the enemies to lovers, but I feel like I have very high expectations for enemies to lovers. Will of the Many, I do kind of want to read this at some point, but I just didn't. I started it and didn't finish it this year. Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods, I loved. I'm just going to put it here. This book in particular isn't S tier. I don't know. This book in particular, I guess I'll put in A tier. But Percy Jackson in general is S tier.
Well, yeah. But this book.
Honestly, maybe it is. I just really like the themes about growing old and growing up and how that's not always a bad thing. And it just had a lot of good Percy Annabeth Grover content. And I enjoyed it. Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries and Map of the Otherland, we talked about. But I love Wendell. And it's about fairy encyclopedia maker.
Yes.
The Selection. I actually have different rankings, very different rankings for all three of these books.
That is fair.
The Selection goes in A tier, right here. Because it's like The Bachelor, basically, but with a prince.
Yes. It's the Monarchy Bachelor.
Yes, it's the Monarchy Bachelor.
With the rebels.
And with the rebels. Yeah, the world, like rereading this, not as a child,
world building.
You notice some things, yeah.
Leaves
the world
something
building.
to be desired.
So that's why this book goes
second
in
book?
C tier. The second book was The Worst Offender. And this one goes in B tier.
The last one?
Yes, the last book, the one. And so, yeah, thank you for saying that. you can just go jump in and say which ones. Okay, Heartless Hunter, I also liked. This one, I was, Witch Hunter. I really liked how they, like, the scene where they were both, like, fighting in the sewers.
No, it was,
and they
like,
were trying
actually
to get
suspenseful.
back to, like, secret identities. I'm just, like, a sucker for secret identities.
Yeah.
I liked it.
No.
I would put it either high B or low A.
Either of those fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe high B. I'm kind of picky.
Yeah,
with my
that's
rankings.
fine.
I'm like, this is like books that I did like B is books that I liked. I just like had some qualm with them of some sort.
Yeah, like they were a little silly in some way.
Yeah, which I feel bad that B is that. It's like really A is like a 5-star and B is like a 4-star.
Yeah, that's fair.
Anyways, yeah. Okay, Shatter Me I liked the first part where they were in prison. I liked when they were in prison, and it was like this weird, like they had to be stuck in a room. I feel like I like things where people are stuck in enclosed situations.
Okay.
And then like they have to write like diary entries about like but it was like, you know, like there's this girl who's been sitting in prison for 2 years with nothing and nobody, and then suddenly this new person gets added to her room.
Yes.
And that's just like a fun premise.
No, it is.
But then they leave the prison and it all goes downhill from there. Where there's this guy who's like like evil, like the villain mastermind who owns like the soldiers, and like he just gives her everything she wants. He gives her dresses and everything, and because she has this power, and he's just like, be my queen and be evil with me. And then she runs away with the other guy, and this is spoilers, but yeah, I don't know. It was just I feel like if you started reading it, once we got past the prison part, you would understand. The prison part might seduce you with its like enclosed spaces and like I don't know, people being in desperate situations, like, you know, like not seeing anyone for 2 years and then talking to someone. Like, I feel like that's a very interesting premise. But then after that, it's just very YA.
Yeah. C tier.
C tier. Okay. We Deserve Monuments is either a B or like a low B or a high C. I feel like I might put it in C, like high C, because the thing is, I actually really like this until the ending, but the ending just bothered me so much. So this is, I don't even know if I can spoil it. Okay, I will spoil it, but I'll say spoilers just because I feel like this is integral to the review. Mm-hmm. So it is, it's a book about a girl who drives down to see her grandmother. Her grandmother's dying, and she is bonding with her and trying to like adjust to this town away from her friends and her like Ivy League like high school, like prep Ivy League high school, and she is like queer, and so she's trying to like come to terms with a lot of different stuff, and I think it was all very done well, and it was well written, and I liked her friends. And then one of her friends is like, her mom is dead, right?
Her friend's
mom is dead. Mm-hmm. And so she the whole time is like planning to make this monument to her mom, and that's like her whole arc in the book. And then it turns out that the main character's grandmother killed her mother, and she finds out after her grandmother dies, and she, like, doesn't do anything about it, and she lets the girl try, so the girl ends up switching to try to make the monument about the grandmother with cancer, who killed her mother, and she never tells her, and it just bothered me. It's just, like, so, like, messed up, and then she's, like, angry at the friend, because the friend's, like, whole family is racist, and, like, the friend's family killed her grandfather, but it's not, like, the mother killed the grandfather, it's, like, the father who was, like, evil and bad killed the grandfather, and like I think he was like abusive and like he was just a piece of shit, and so it's like, yes, like he deserves to die, and then they just took it out on the mother, and then there is like interesting, complicated, like kind of like things you can say about that, but then it just bothered me that she let her friend try to build the monument to her instead of the mom. Okay, the Declaration is about a society where everyone's immortal, and so they can't have kids, and it's about people who have kids, and the kids have to go to this like evil like servant school where they learn how to become servants. Yeah, I think it would be a B. Maybe like here. I don't know. It's not really that great, but I just liked it when I was a kid, and so rereading it, I liked it. The Prison Healer is a book about a girl who's in prison, or she's in prison, and she's also the healer in the prison. And there's someone there who she meets, who isn't what he seems, and there's this competition where they have to they have to surmount the 4 elements in order, and if they do that, they get released from prison, which is kind of a silly thing. And then the tests are all very basic, so it's like, for the air test, it's like jump, and then for the fire test, it's like survive in an incinerator, and for the water test, it's like survive underwater, and for the ground earth test, it's like find your way out of tunnels. And so it's just like, spoiler alert, completes all those tests and gets out. I don't know, I was looking for something that took place in a prison. I don't know why. Okay, there's a few books, actually. I did that intentionally, Carolyn. I was looking for that for some reason. Okay. It did fulfill that need, but I couldn't, I don't know, there was... C tier is like there's more stuff wrong with it than B tier, so but yeah, it was fine. Okay, this was a Dragon Rider book written by Naomi Novik, of course, and it was about this like English gentleman who is supposed to be a naval officer. It's like taking place during the Napoleonic Wars, which I think is an interesting setting. And he's supposed to be a naval officer, but he finds a dragon, and so then they're like, whoops, this dragon's bonded to you. Now you are a dragon officer, and now it's just about him training his dragon, and it's fun.
That can go in B.
Yeah, that can go in B. Okay, and then Incarceron, another prison book. Yeah.
I wonder where that takes place.
Yeah, so this one was, like, about this group of people who are trying to escape from prison, and then this outside world where it's, like, frozen in the 1600s because the king wants it frozen in the 1600s, but everyone kind of cheats and uses modern technology anyways.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is a low B tier.
Okay.
Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, S tier. This is just a great book about a girl who makes a deal with the devil to live forever, but nobody knows her or can recognize her. And it's just a very cool premise about how she lives her life with no one being able to remember her if they stop seeing her.
And it flips between the past and the present. I do remember, like, in the beginning, basically it's like in the beginning I like would try to read quickly through the past parts because like I was more invested in the present storyline.
Yes.
And then like the past parts also got interesting.
The past parts did get interesting. And I just, I'm a sucker for the ship.
For certain tropes.
There's yeah.
For certain ships. Yeah.
I also just really liked the stakes of, like, whenever someone, like, you didn't want people to, like, leave her sight and forget her. Like, I feel like you just empathized with her a lot. Yeah. And it's just a very interesting magical contract. This is, like, a K-pop X spy book.
What's it called?
Stars and Smoke.
Okay.
It was by Mary Lou, who I think I liked some of the other stuff she had written. But this was just one where I was just not in the mood for it. House of Hunger, also vampire book, not in the mood for it. Although I think I did read another vampire book, possibly by the same person. I don't know. Actually, I don't know if it is. Okay, Merciful Crow was about... this one can go right next to Heartless Hunter. And B tier, high B. It was about a group of people who have bone teeth powers. So there's, like, everyone in the society has, like a bird that they have magical powers based on that bird. Mm-hmm. And they're crows, and so they have powers based on dead people's teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was just, it was a very interesting magic system. I liked how she ended up with actually the second son and not the prince, because I feel like usually they have you end up with, like, the best guy.
No,
like,
I appreciate
it's like,
that.
oh, like, you marry for love and not money, but the guy you end up with happens to be the richest and most powerful guy, like, always. And I like that they didn't do that. I don't know, it was just about people who could get magical powers from teeth. Okay. And that's all I'm going to say about it. This one, I think... Exploring Kithra and Anti-Kithra is just a book about the island of Kithra, and I don't know, it was just a nice little guidebook.
Okay.
Lungs, the play that we read together.
We acted it out.
Yes, that we read aloud. Yeah, I think if other people had performed it, it would have ranked a little higher, but as it is, it's going next to Fourth Wing.
Cold read.
Anatomy of Love Story is about a girl who is trying to become a doctor and steal bodies. And then, I don't know, it's just like, I don't know, some of it is interesting, but then it's like, it's one of those, also that the ending also goes off the rails completely and introduces random stuff. And yeah.
C tier?
Yeah, I think I would put it in C tier. Although I did like some L specs of it. I think it's also just not really my genre. Okay, Artemis Fowl somehow ended up here when all the other Artemis Fowl is down here, so I'm gonna move this one. Okay, so I read a lot of MXTX books, which is a Xianxia. I don't know if I'm mispronouncing that. Anyways, Olivia, my friend, really got into those books this year and recommended.
What is
MXTX? A lot of these. It's the author.
Oh, okay.
It stands for something. I don't know exactly what it stands for. But it's the author of a lot of these books, including Grandmaster of the Demonic Cultivation,
light novels, kind of?
Moda Zushi. Yeah, so this was a comic series. So I think...
Oh, it was graphic novels.
Yeah, so I read a lot of these graphic novels. I'm just going to rate all of these graphic novels at 4.
At B tier?
At B tier. And I think I read more of them, so I'll put them all here. But yeah, this was just about... it's a very interesting, kind of very different from Western style stories, where it's like a very specific kind of wizard world where there's like specific powers and like tropes and monsters that are existing there, and it's about these people who met as kids, and then now this guy comes back like 30 years later after he's dead, and so they meet up again, and they have to like find these different limbs. That were, yes, there's a bunch of, like, they have to Frankenstein, there's this Frankenstein body, and there's
one
also...
person?
Yeah.
So there's 4 limbs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think there's a head also. I don't know, I didn't quite finish, I only got to book 6, because that's all they have in English so far.
Okay.
Yeah. What else do I say about this?
You don't have to say anything else about this.
No, but there was the threesome. There
was
like these 3 guys, and one of them was blind, and the other one was evil, and he, cut out the tongue of the other guy, So he thought, blind guy thought it was a zombie.
These are the Untamed books?
Yes.
I did not even understand that.
Oh, no, they're the Untamed books. Okay. And so, so he cut out his tongue, and so he made the other guy think he was a zombie, so he'd kill the other guy. It was just very twisted. Anyways, I remember that. Okay, Powerless, very generic YA fantasy. Belladonna, I actually will probably come back to this, but I didn't finish it. Nora and the Immortal Palace was just a very fun, YA, or not YA, middle grade, book, and it was about, child labor and, okay.
So fun.
Yes, but, it's just, a good topic for, it was, handled really well. It was about, people who have to work in child labor, and she was working for her sister's education, and it was they go to this hotel where they have to work, kind of like Spirited Away. It's very Spirited Away, and it's just something I hadn't ever seen approached in a middle grade book, and I think it was handled very well for kids.
Okay.
So I would say it would go here.
Where is here, Marlena?
B tier.
Okay.
Okay, these are two books that I read in Spanish because my Spanish level is at the grade level of a second grader. Lola, the Accessories Fairy, the Parade Fairy, and then Claudia, the Accessories Fairy. I learned how to say fairy, el hada, in Spanish.
Nice.
I'm proud of myself.
Great.
I also learned other words. I really appreciate how in children's books there's little illustrations that show you what's happening, because, then if you don't know, what a word means, I think, Busfara was one of them. Mm-hmm. I should Google this. What is Busfara?
I don't think that's the word
that
you're looking for.
Busfara?
No.
Whatever. What is scarf?
It's not Busfara.
What is it?
Bus fair.
Okay.
It doesn't
scarf in Spanish. Bufanda. La bufanda. Anyways, that one. If you know what a word means, la bufanda, and then there's a picture of people wearing a scarf, you kind of can guess what it means. So anyways, I was enjoying those.
That is kind of a random selection of them of books for them to have in Spanish, though.
That was what the library had.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The Parade Fairy and the Accessories Fairy.
Maybe they were donated.
Maybe.
Lore, Greek god retelling. Did not quite finish that one. I don't know. It was again kind of just it wasn't in the mood for me at the moment. Mm-hmm. I wasn't in the mood for it. Greenwild. Greenwild was you should recommend. I recommend to you. It's not quite as good as Nevermoor, but it is kind of in that vein. Or at least I don't know. I really liked Nevermoor, and so I also liked Greenwild, which is a girl who has to travel to this magical world where they have plants that they're living with, and then she makes magical friends, and she's trying to save her mom, and I enjoyed it.
Nice.
Amanda Gorman, Call Us What We Carry. So this was a poetry book that I read this year, and I liked it. I liked some of the poems. I think I made a list of some of my favorite poems. Some of them were very creative, but also a lot of them were about COVID, which I feel like I was not, I don't know, I feel like I didn't really want to read that many poems about COVID, but that's a me thing and not an Amanda Gorman thing. So, I would say that was a good 4-star poetry book for me. Heaven and Fishel's Blessing, also by MXTX. This is a gorgeous romance series. It is very, very good romance. And it's told in the past and the present timeline about this god who used to be a prince and this ghost king, and basically they have to go on adventures together to hunt demons, basically. But it's just very funny. And I really like the way that the kind of two timelines were intertwined, especially since he doesn't realize that it's the person from his past for a long time. So I think I'll put those all in A tier. Oh my god, can I drag these? Why is the screen like this?
You can zoom out.
Yeah, okay. Oh god. I had to, so fun fact, when I was borrowing these from the library, I was one of them didn't come in, and so I had to go up to the lady at the library, and I was like, hey, I don't see this book on the hold shelf. And then she was like, oh, that's weird. And so I was like, it's like this in this series. And I had to show her this cover of this guy, kissing this other guy on this desk. And I was and so I was oh. And so she was yeah, can I have that? And so I handed it to her. and she had to look at it to look up the other one, and I was just like, okay. Anyways, An Education in Malice. This was a vampire, sapphic vampire novel about, like, dark academia. I didn't know this had vampires until, I was, like, halfway through it, until the vampires actually appeared. But apparently it's a retelling of a famous vampire story called, like, Camilla. I don't know. It was... I did really like the dark academia aspects of it. I feel like anything with, like, any relationships with professors just really kind of weirds me out.
Yeah.
It wasn't... The main relationship wasn't with the professor, and I think it did a good job of kind of highlighting how kind of toxic the professor relationship was, but that was just kind of, like, an interesting thing that I was like, eh. Anyways, it was fine. Green Wilde... this is the sequel. I also really like this one. It can go up with the other one.
An A tier.
Yes, an A tier sequel to Green Wilde. I really liked how there was a character who came back from the first book who I didn't expect and who was very interesting and dealt with grief in a very good way, especially for kids' books. Your Blood, My Bones, which I bought you for Christmas.
Yes,
because
I will read
liked
it this year.
Although I will warn you, I did not like the ending.
Okay.
And for that reason, I think it's going in B tier, high B.
Okay.
But I did really like the beginning and the premise in general of it's like these three kids who had this like past where they grew up on this farm together, and they're like one of them is like this immortal who can't die, who's been like just sacrificed by the parents of the other girl, and he can only die if he kills her, but he doesn't want to kill her because he likes her, and so it's like this big quandary. Okay, this was a trashy alien prison romance novel because I just really wanted to read prison novels for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was good. I would say high B, low A.
I agree with that.
I'll put it high B. It was good. I mean, it delivered what I needed it to deliver, of just like alien prison.
See, you described it to me that way, and so I thought it was like a prison like in space.
No.
It's just like a normal Earth prison,
but with aliens.
But with aliens in it.
And it's just like the main character's life kind of sucks, and she just becomes obsessed. Like, you understand why she becomes so obsessed. There's really no whisk at all for this alien, because like she has nothing else going on, and her family is like Harry Potter's family.
Yeah.
And anyways,
and she cares so much about.
And she cares so much about the disabled. Yeah. Okay, The Luminaries, this was like a monster hunting secret society.
And where does it go?
And it goes in C tier.
Great.
Dying to Meet You, this is a very cute book
that
we read when we were kids, and I reread it recently. It's about like this ghost who's haunting a house, and this writer who wants to write a ghost story, and this little boy whose parents abandoned him, and they all form a found family.
I just remember everyone's name is puns.
Yes, that is true. Yes. There's so many puns. It's a very punny book. Okay, Shadow of the Wind is also going in A tier. This is, honestly, it might even go in S tier, but maybe, I don't know. It's, like, on the border. It's very good. It's, about, like, World War II in Spain times, and it's about this writer, who, that was a Freudian slip there a little bit, this writer, can you guess what happens in this book?
He has a brother?
No, he is the brother.
He is the brother.
Yeah, of someone. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Immortal Dark, vampire book. I didn't finish it, but it sounded promising. Project Hail Mary, very excellent. A tier. If you like science fiction at all, this is a highly, highly recommend book.
I want to read that one.
And it's about, it's very similar to The Martian, but it's different enough.
I like that
it's also
this was
good.
it's like his arm.
Yes.
The Merciful Crow next to the house in the Cerulean Sea.
And this one too, the Call Is What They Carry.
Yeah.
Okay, Artemis Fowl is all going, either an A tier or S tier. I don't know.
Are they all the same?
No, okay. So Artemis Fowl is a book about a boy who kidnaps a fairy.
It's not a middle grade book.
And it's a middle grade book.
We read this one together when we were younger.
This one is actually the worst one, so this is going to go in B tier. But the rest of them can go in A or S. And then
there's more too.
I'll just rate the rest of them while I'm talking about it. So it's a bunch of different wacky adventures that they go on, and it has a lot of sci-fi elements. Also a lot of like fart humor. But you can
I do vaguely remember.
Yeah,
that.
There's quite a lot of that. But if you ignore that,
it is made
or
for
don't.
like 12-year-old
Maybe
boys.
fart humor is your thing. but, you know, for me, I really liked Artemis and Holly and Butler.
I'll zoom it out again for you.
Thank you. But yeah, I my favorite one was the time travel one. And
So they spread from S to B, but...
yes, but they're generally like an A.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just also kind of nostalgia. Like, I really enjoyed reading
no,
this
that's
series.
fair.
I actually have read the whole thing, like, I think 2 or 3 times, and this was the first time I had read the ending. Like, I had never read the last book.
And you were pleasantly surprised,
But I was
right?
pleasantly surprised, yes. And they're all very good. Yeah. This one is also by MXTX. This is Scum Villain's self-saving system. It's like a...
Wait, what is it called?
Scum Villain's self-saving system.
Okay.
And it's about a guy
Scum Villain?
who... Yeah, well, yeah. So he... Carolyn, you're never gonna guess what happens. He reads this book, and then he gets sucked inside this book when he dies.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then he's the villain, but the boy who he's supposed to train, who, like, he's supposed to be mean to, he's not mean to.
Mm-hmm.
But then it backfires, because he falls in love with him.
Oh my god.
And
Wait,
he wants
how
to have...
old is the boy?
Well, he grows up, right? So at
Okay.
first he's, like, young, and then he grows up to be an adult. I don't know exactly how old. I think he's in his 20s.
Okay.
But yeah, it backfires because then he wants to have hot gay sex with him.
Okay.
And so that's what happens. And it was, I don't know, it was a C tier. I think it still was funny, but it was not, honestly, where's the one with extras? Because that one can go lower. This one can go here. But these two, I don't know, the extras were a little wild. But the normal story was, like, it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it had some problems.
Okay. How many do we have left?
This
Okay,
many.
that's
Not
about
that many.
28. Great.
Okay, sorry.
28 to go. Actually, one of those is a duplicate. So
Okay, we're gonna go so fast through
we're
these.
gonna go so fast.
Enchantment of Ravens. This one is like a fae romance novel. It's just very cute and sweet. It's about, it's just like kind of fluffy and like, I don't know, and it's like, just like they not like enemies to lovers, but kind of like annoyance to lovers. And I liked it. It can go here. This
manga
is
Anne of
a
Green
manga
Gables.
version of Anne of Green Gables, which, I don't know, I like Anne of Green Gables, so that I read that. This one was, An Academy for Liars was a book about a school for people who can, like, kind of manipulate the world and, like, manipulate other people. This one I liked, but this one had a professor-student relationship, even though it was college. I don't know, it's not for me, but I will still give it a B tier, I guess. And then Wild Bird, did not finish that one. This one was for children, but it had some very dark things in it. I don't know, and it wasn't like that dark, but I was like, I don't know, and I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time. And so then Blood Over Brighthaven, I loved. Excellent. Great book.
Yeah, I got that one for Christmas. I'm looking forward to it.
And it's like, it's like kind of like a magic, like, but like technology magic, but like a Victorian technology magic.
Okay.
Anyways, and it's like has a lot of good political and social themes.
Nice.
That I appreciated.
A tier.
A tier. Fellowship of the Ring, I will put this in high B tier. Lord of the Rings goes right next to the Alien prison book.
Right next to Homebound.
Yep. I liked it. I liked the movies better, but I still liked it. Okay, I'm Glad My Mom Died. Also a good, honestly maybe A tier. I liked this one. It was just Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, and talking about, like, her mom and her relationship with acting and her like eating disorders, and it was just a very interesting and, like, well written look into her life. Midsummer Night's Dream, I don't know, I think I probably should have sat and focused on things a little more. I think you have to kind of think through it to appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was entertaining. It was Shakespeare. It was short. It was B tier. Peter Pan. Okay, so Peter Pan, the original Peter Pan, goes in A tier because I think it was good. It was, like, interesting and kind of, like, introduces a lot of cool lore that I really like. And I like.
I did like, as I was reading
it,
themes. I was like, oh, I never knew that about Peter Pan, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was nice reading the original.
Yeah, and like we were saying, the like, everything changes but him, and he's just an interesting character. However, Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens, I did not like as much. I can understand why that one was not as popular. 13th Child.
Wait, the Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens was not part of the
No,
one that I
see,
read.
the thing is, Carolyn, I thought you read both of them, and so I read both of them, and I was halfway through Kensington Gardens, and I was like, man, I want to stop this. But then Carolyn read it, so I should finish it, so I can talk to Carolyn about it. But then you didn't even read it,
No,
and so then
I
it
did
was just
not.
like,
I was like, what the heck is that? And you're like, it's when he turns into a bird. I'm like, I did not read that.
Yeah, but okay, the one part I did like was about his, like, it explains some of his character, because his mother, like, locks the window when she gets a new baby. Like, okay, so the birds are like, you should go back to your mother, and so he does, and the window's open, and he's like, I could go in now, or I could go have more adventures, and so he leaves, and he goes to have more adventures, and then he comes back later, and the window is locked. And that made an impact on his psyche, and a few things, too.
Yes.
Anyways, okay, 13th Child, this one was just, it was a book about a girl who's the 13th child, and so she was Death's goddaughter, and she became, like, a healer, and it's a book where I think I would have rated it B tier if it had, or maybe, sorry, if I would have rated it C tier if it had been less long, but because it was so long, I developed feelings, strong feelings.
Strong negative
feelings.
And so it goes.
Which is my fault, but, yeah, that's what happens when I force myself to read really long books that I'm just not enjoying at the moment, so
it goes indeed.
It goes indeed, unfortunately. Witches. This is a story about a girl whose mom can't remember her. Again, like, it's, like, good, like, sad middle grade stuff. I just really enjoy for some reason. But it's a girl whose her mother's memories of her are erased every night. And so her mother's, like, kind of this human who can barely function, who has, like, a job entering things on a spreadsheet and, like, barely cooks for herself and, like, doesn't enjoy doing anything and, like, doesn't do anything for the daughter. So the daughter has to, like, basically raise herself. And it's about her having to realize that ghosts exist and witches exist and try to get the mom's memories back from the memory witch. And I think this is a B tier, so I liked it. Don't Let the Forest In. This one, it's like, I really like the premise of it, and I feel like, there was a twist at the end that I also really did like, but it felt like I just didn't really connect to the characters for some reason, but it was, like, basically these two boys who are, like, going to school, and one of the boys writes stories and the other draws, and there's, like, monsters that keep getting created, and the book is them just, like, fighting the monsters that get created from their book and their writings. And then there is a twist at the end that's good, but, yeah.
But
it is a C tier for me. Chain Gang All-Stars, really good look at the American prison system, and it's, like, kind of like Hunger Games, but, like, with the American prison system, and the ending of this book, I could just write an entire essay about the ending of this book. Anyways, this book goes in A tier. It is very dark, and I don't think it's for everybody. It's also very, like, kind of graphic, and just makes you think about things that are, you know, sometimes you don't want to think about, but it's just very well written, and I think it's important, and so I liked it. And the ending is just superb. Noctis, this was a nice middle grade about a society where everything is run on games. Board game society, B tier.
Nice.
The Bear, this
not
one...
related to the show.
No, not related to the show. This one is like, it's like a very cool, like, post-apocalyptic, like, Last People on Earth kind of story, and it also involves a bear. And that's all I'm going to say about it, but it was good. I would recommend it. It's, like, very, nature-focused. Alright, Two Towers, I also liked, and Return of the King was my favorite out of those three books.
Yay,
I also listened to the audiobooks for those three.
Oh, nice.
I forget the name of this one, but there was one historical fiction book set in Korea that I didn't finish. I also didn't finish Bride. I actually didn't really get very far in that one. I don't know if that one should be even counted, but I was... Oh, and then Butcher and Blackbird, which is about, like, 2 serial killers. I
also did not finish.
Percy Jackson, this one...
Which one's that one?
It's high A tier. Wrath of the Triple Goddess was the sequel to The Chalice of the Gods. And then Lion Women of Tehran, I think that goes in B tier. This was a good, like, historical fiction about Tehran, and it was very sad because there's a lot of things that are outside of the control of the main character, and so it was very good, like, realistic historical fiction. I don't know, some of the decisions the characters made grated on me, but I think they're meant to do that, so... anyways, If We Were Villains, this is about a group of Shakespearean actors who go to this very elite Shakespearean actor school where they just do Shakespeare plays all the time. And they just live, and they quote Shakespeare, and they have, like, set characters. They live Shakespeare, and then there's, like, murders that happen. I think there's one murder that happens, and then there's, like, it's, like, trying to figure out who did it. Yeah, and they're all, like, the premise is that they're all actors, and so they're all supposed to kind of lie about what happened, but then I feel like it didn't really take advantage of that quite as much as it was thinking, like, I was thinking it would. But it did, I don't know, it was good. I would say B tier. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was a C tier. It was, honestly, maybe D tier. I don't know. It was just, I wasn't scared by any of the stories. It's for children. Again, my fault, but okay. Richard Jeweler goes in C tier. This is an anime about a manga about a guy who is a jewel appraiser.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know, yeah. Okay, this one I already rated. For some reason, a second copy of it got put here, but that's fine. Alright, Sorceress Comes to Call. I liked this one. I think maybe I'll put this in low A tier. It is, a very good, like, there's this girl whose mother is abusive and, like, basically can control her, and just, like, you're just very scared of the mother. Like, I did not. Like, the mother was a very good, menacing presence. And then there's also, like, this, older lady, who is, trying to help her, and is, like, this kind of, like, witty older lady, and I don't know, I liked that there was no romance with the younger girl, but there was a romance with the older lady, which I liked, and it was also just a very good story that I liked.
Nice.
So
yeah, you also gave me that one for Christmas.
I also gave you that one for Christmas. So,
yay! All 121 books.
All 121 books.
I can scroll down to show.
Yeah.
Okay, what is our
final statement?
Yes, our final statement.
Okay, I don't know if we'll make another one of these, but I thought it was cool that we had read a lot of books, and I don't know, I thought it was fun to rank them, so yes.
Those were the books we read.
Those were the books we read this year, and you can let us know if you read any of these.
Yes.
And what you thought about them.
Sure.
Yeah.
We're very welcoming. Okay, that's it. Okay, bye.